All right, I'm so excited.
We're really stoked here.
You have no idea what's been going on before I turn this camera on. Just don't even worry about it. But today I'm here talking to Leela, and we are talking about. Did I do it again?
No.
Okay. Issues here with me. So today we are talking about Indian guys dating and all of these fun things and kind of differences. You know, I've spent a lot of time traveling around India, spent some time traveling around Thailand, and things are really different here with respect to Indian men. And we were chatting yesterday about this, and I loved it when you were telling me about some of the differences and maybe in how the Indian guys interact with you in a way that's different than the guys in the West, right?
Yeah, well, and I don't want to make like blanket statements by any means. So,
of course.
Like, my point of perception is kind of coming from the fact that I've not yet had interactions like the ones that I've had with Indian men. For example, well, I mean...
Yeah, whatever you want.
For example, like, I feel when... two words I would use to describe Indian men would be like devotional and like loyal. They'll probably do anything for you. Like, even like all of your Facebook photos back into like 2009. I added, okay, so this is I'm just like I'm friends with these people on Facebook.
Well, you don't give any names. We're not going to put people on blast.
So yeah, an interesting thing that happened was like I added this one guy on Facebook, and you know, the next time I signed on, I had like 98 notifications, and I was like, whoa, Facebook like blew up in the time that I like, you know, did something and came back to it. And it was seriously like all of the same guy like liking every single one of my photos. And I didn't realize that like a part of my like consciousness kind of like dug that, even though it was like creepy and weird. I'm like, you know, like the inner 14-year-old of mine was like, oh my god, he like, look at that kind of attentiveness. Like, you don't get that in the West. You're like, you barely get like, you get like,
it's okay, I'll take it out.
You barely get like one-word answer texts. Like, I don't know.
Right.
I find myself like sometimes like sending paragraph messages to a man and getting like, okay. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. And
I thought we were having a conversation here.
Right. And it's like, it's so interesting. I loved it when you were telling me that, because it's like, it is so different. You know, now you also have to be aware. So she's talking to people that she has a fondness for, and obviously you get all those notifications and you're like, wow. See, like in the West, I feel like maybe I would get like one deep like, you know, where it's like one like of an old photo, or maybe 2 likes of an old photo that lets you know that like the guy has spent some time there. But no, like these dudes are like going through.
Well, I mean, it's a little intense, and like, yeah, I feel like the sense of like personal boundaries are a little bit different, and like I ended up texting the guy and being like, hey, so I noticed you liked every single one of my photos on Facebook, and he was like, yeah, I was bored at the office today. And I was like, cool, dude, nice.
You know what's interesting when you say that? Like, I wonder, and of course we're making we're talking in general, but this is not everyone, obviously. And there are some Western guys who are attentive. We don't know so many.
Well,
but
it depends what your yeah, I personally don't know any. It depends what your definition of like attentive is, and for me it's not Facebook by any means, but I was just noticing, like, because it happened 3 different times. And when we're talking about these Indian men, it's not just like, you know, flirtation or connection like that. It's like any sort of connection. Like, I've had it happen 3 different times with 3 different men. So that's why I'm able to like make a generalized statement, because it's like I'm collecting information by experience. So it's just funny.
No, and it's true. I think there are some cultural differences, and of course there are people who don't fit into any sort of mold, right? And do things differently. But for sure, I see differences here with the interactions. But it's also interesting just to see how, you know, when I was in Thailand, you know, I see the Western men hooking up with the Thai girls. Great, cool, as long as everyone's happy. But also here in India, I just saw the opposite. I didn't see Western men hooking up with the Indian women, but I saw a lot of Western women hooking up with the Indian guys.
Well,
when
you're starved for that kind of like interest, like, you know, the undercurrent of those kind of interactions is interest.
Right.
That's what I think Western women are like a little bit starved of.
Yeah.
And like interest with like authenticity. There's like a really subtle energetic difference between someone who's like interested in you and someone who's like genuinely like, hey, did you have your breakfast yet? Which is another phrase that I've noticed that a lot of Indian men have asked me. Like, I get a text and I'm like checking it and it's like, oh, have you had your breakfast? I'm like, what? Do you want a picture of it?
Do they want a picture?
I mean, I never asked.
You just send it.
No, I haven't actually. It still is like a little alarming to me to get asked like what I had for lunch and breakfast.
Yeah.
I have not sent a picture yet. Maybe I should. Maybe
I'd be curious to see how it would be received.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Probably with enthusiasm.
Yeah, probably like with one of, you know how you can like heart the things that you send now?
Right.
Probably with one of those,
right.
To be honest, I think.
And you know, it's interesting because I do a lot of videos talking about how to stay safe as a solo traveler and kind of how to fend off unwanted attention from Indian men or just from men in general. But the truth is, sometimes the attention...
I just show my teeth to them and I'm like...
By the way, here's what you don't know. This is the real talk. Before we got here, she's talking about showing her teeth. Before we got here, we live in the same building, okay? There were monkeys all outside the stairwell and everything coming up here. And I was like concerned. I was like, oh my God, I just want to film a video. I don't want to deal with a monkey attack. This girl is like, don't worry, just show your teeth. She's trying to get me attacked by a monkey.
No, they go away. They're like, oh.
I showed my teeth to a monkey once. He did not go away. He was preparing for battle. And I realized quickly, seeing his teeth versus mine, I wouldn't win that battle. So anyway, that's why she's showing her teeth. But so I do talk a lot about kind of how to fend off sort of unwanted attention. But sometimes women get the attention and it is wanted, you know, and it's received well. And I'll be honest, some of these Indian guys, you know, like, they're suave. You know, some of them, you know, it's like I'll be walking down the street sometimes, like especially here in Tiru. You know, they're accustomed to foreigners. And I'm like walking down the street, minding my business, and they're like, hello, beautiful. And I'm like,
what is your sweet name? What is your sweet name? I'm like, my sweet name? Well then, why don't I tell you?
You're like, well, my sweet name is, and my dirty name. No, just kidding. But no, it's interesting because, you know, sometimes there is a sweetness to the way that they can approach it, even though it's sort of catcalling in a way.
It is catcalling subtly for sure. Like,
sounds a little nicer because it's like, hello, beautiful.
It's like catcalling with a little bit more class. It's like the misogyny of this culture like has a tad more class than, you know, I don't know, the West.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that's what I noticed. And like what you're saying about the attention, like I personally did not know that I wanted that attention until I was getting it and like receiving how it felt in my body, and I was like, oh, well, the reason that there's a charge around this energetically is because like this is something I've never actually experienced before in the West. Maybe like whoever, I mean, I've had really nice boyfriends before. This is not to throw all Western men out with the bus. We're making general statements here.
We're making general statements.
We're trying to like, you know,
because we want to have a conversation with the awareness that, by the way, I love Western guys.
I do. I have a lot of homies like that I really love and adore who actually do give me really good attention, and so it's not,
But this conversation isn't really about Western men, even though we might reference it. It's more about the differences, because there are differences, and it's also about what the appeal is, I think, for a lot of women coming here. And, you know, it's true, because I think what the Western women get here is sort of what the Western men get in Thailand, right? Which is they get to feel a little bit special. I think ultimately is kind of what it boils down to, you know. And Thailand sometimes, listen, people didn't like this. It wasn't a PC thing to say, but it's really the truth, which is that a lot of men in Thailand have to pay for that privilege. It's not a privilege that comes for free. there sometimes is
Are you referring to prostitution?
It's not prostitution, actually.
Well, are you
although
referring
that exists.
to sex work? Are you referring
I'm not
to...
referring to sex work either. I think there's a fine line because in Thailand, sometimes people take Western men as their boyfriends, more or less, but they are sort of paid and they get like a little bit of money from the man. But I don't think I would actually call that prostitution.
I don't know why I equated money to, you know, to connection immediately.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, well, are you talking about like that kind of work?
Yeah, and that exists there, right? For sure. That's common. You see that on the streets.
What do you mean by
But that's
paid?
not literally paid money. So like I've met men. I did a whole video on it. I can also send you the link
I'd
too.
love to see that.
Yeah, yeah. But I also met lots of men who didn't want to go on camera, but who were talking to me, and they were like dating women. But because the men were in a much more privileged situation financially than the women, they helped them out. They helped them out on a monthly basis and gave them money. And
Like, sign me up.
she's not judgmental. She's like, wait, how can I do that?
Is there paperwork? Is there a website? Like, help.
But yeah, like honestly, it's so I think some people, even in my last video, were triggered by the title of the video and that conversation. But I really like having open conversations about sort of serious topics and things that can be a little bit tricky to talk about. But also, like, when for me personally, when we're talking about adults, I feel like adults do what adults want to do in my book. I don't really care. But it wasn't prostitution exactly. You know, it was definitely like a relationship where one significant other was sort of financially helping. But anyway, that's
So
getting
like
us off on a new thing.
like a
Oh my
sugar
God,
daddy.
there's literally a monkey that showed up behind us. Move off to the side for a second.
Oh my
There you
God,
go.
He's actually not the
There you go.
type of
Is that
monkey
not the
we-
nice one?
Just pretend he's not there.
We're gonna pretend he's not there. I don't
really like him.
Oh, we don't like that monkey. Where's he going? He's just sitting there. I just glanced over and saw that monkey.
Where is
Okay.
he? Seriously.
He's behind you.
Okay.
This is India, you guys.
I don't like the black monkeys. Like, I'm pretty friendly with the monkeys. But
You have a problem with the black monkeys. I see how it is. I'm just teasing.
come out of here.
I'm just teasing you. No, but to be honest, in Rishikesh, those monkeys are the good monkeys, and the brown monkeys are the bad ones.
They're evil. They're like,
Yeah.
there's something wrong.
Yeah.
We're trailing here. We're in a...
We're gonna bring it back. Okay, so just talking about so I think that the Western women are getting here what the Western men are getting in Thailand, which is like, yeah, feeling special and getting some attention. And
Well, getting like supported, feeling supported, seen, honored, respected, and valued, and like, yeah, there's like a deep sense of interest. Which is he still there?
he's still there, but don't worry, just ignore him.
There's a deep sense of interest
Yeah,
where, like, the interest that I feel from potential partners in the West. And I hate to keep comparing, but
Yeah.
it's just where we're at right now in the conversation. I feel like the interest is a bit diluted in a way. I don't quite know how to unpack that.
yeah. I mean, I almost fell. I'm gonna readjust. I'm like sitting on a weird place. There we go. I'm just gonna sit here for now, and you can see the monkey in the background. So I think that, yeah, dating in the West is tricky, and it does seem simpler here, you know, in a way, because I think it's easier. Are there fireworks going off around here? We're in India.
I don't know that it's easier, because
Yeah.
what I have explored with like people that I'm interested in is like, yeah, there's a sense of connection, but for me there has not been like the amount of depth that I require.
Okay. Yeah, like, what do you think? Are there specific challenges that you find to kind of...
Just like really deep-rooted cultural differences, like of having a relationship or having like a certain energy between like me and another person, like not being like that energy can't go further than the energy that it is, because like who's getting an arranged marriage, who's
Meaning
not
it
allowed
can't
to
go
date
further.
a white girl, like,
It can't go further than a hookup, sort of.
yeah, well,
Okay.
yeah, and
Or
even-
just... Right.
right, yeah.
it can't get too much deeper.
If I wanted it to go there, yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Certainly culturally, you know, like, it's tricky. Marriage is serious here. And certainly I think marriage outside of ethnicity, outside of race here, outside of country, is fine in some families and absolutely not fine in others, you know, and so that's certainly a challenge that needs to be navigated.
Yeah.
I just love looking at this video because I can see and then seeing like the monkey's head. Like I'm trying to be serious and like stay on track.
I'm really trying to be serious here, but there's
like
some monkey business
just, like,
up in here.
Right there.
Yeah, well, I remain curious. That's why I think that's where the exploration is coming from.
Yeah.
Like this genuine sense of curiosity of like interpersonal dynamics that are international, and like what are the differences?
Yeah.
Like, are they just perceived differences, and at the root of them it's, I mean, at the root of the differences it's sameness.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of layers to like, yeah, the cultural what do I want to call it? There's like a cultural rigidity, I want to say. It's like, okay, so I'll give an example. So for example, when I was talking to someone that I have interest in about like what he thought of his arranged marriage, and like why he was going to listen to his mother because his mother was getting upset that he wasn't married yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what, like, why, you know, what about what you want? And he was like, well, Leela, sometimes you just make compromises. Like, my mother would be, you know, distraught if I didn't get, you know, let her arrange my marriage.
Yeah.
And my Western point of view is like, well, excuse that, whatever, like, I'll do what I want.
Right.
You're not the boss of me, and it wants to like reject that. But there's something still beautiful about like honoring a sense of commitment, which like I really do see a depth in the ability to commit in this culture. Like there's once there's a commitment, they're like they're loyal, and that's kind of what I was talking about in the beginning of the conversation. Was like, if I had to choose two words to describe Indian men from my perspective, it would be loyal and devotional. Yeah. Because once you're in with them, it's like I know I can call any person that I've connected with and be like, can I have a ride here? Like, you know, I mean, I could do that for friends in the US too, but
it's a little bit different. The different energy, I think, is kind of flowing underneath it. Anyway, anything you want to add before I need to end this, just so that I can take a photo of the two of us for this thumbnail with the monkey in the background? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
For sure.
We need to wrap this up.
I just think more men out there, please show some real interest in a lady or you know, when you want to date someone, just, you know, show just a little bit of interest. Like, what did you eat lunch? Oh my god, I would faint if a guy from the West asked me if I ate lunch.
There you go. Ask about the lunch. Show that you care, guys.
Show that you actually
Try to edit out all these curse words. It's okay. All right, I love it. I'm gonna wrap this up so we can get this monkey later, and subscribe. There's more to come. More laughs, more fun, more interesting talks. Check you later.
Jai Ma.